Hey guys, so I'm gonna put together this video kind of quick in the car. I've been like trying to find time to do this video, so I figure I'm gonna bring my albums with me. And I have a couple CDs, so I'm cheating on this a little bit. But I figured let me go ahead and get this done because I want to get this entry in for this contest here. And what this is 10 records about famous people. Now, the title's 10 records about famous people. So I'm gonna go with the fact that maybe the title of the song isn't about, or the album isn't about, titled after the person, but the song can be about a famous person. So I'm gonna go with that, and hopefully I'm not breaking any rules here. So I am cheating a little bit because two of the albums I'm gonna show you are on CD because I haven't found them on vinyl yet. So it's kind of a in between until I can find them on vinyl. So this was a contest by Rob Walker, and I ran across it from a video that Mike, the PC31, the vinyl Policeman, put out. So that's how I came across this, but the original contest was put together by Rob Walker. So 10 records about famous people. So I'm gonna start off with the two CDs and get those out of the way. The first one I have here is Ryan Adams' Gold. And I think this came out around 2001 because I remember being right near 2000 or 9/11 when that happened. Yeah, 2001. So Ryan Adams, Gold. I believe this was his first album, but there's a song on here called Sylvia Plath. And if you don't know who Sylvia Plath was, and I wanted to do this at home because I have a book that I wanted to show you, but I don't have it with me, with her poetry and her novel, The Bell Jar. So she lived to 30 years old. She was a poet, and I think she only wrote the one novel, and it was about her life basically. And she had bouts of depression, had attempted suicide many times in her life, and she finally did at the age of 30, where she went into the kitchen. She put her kids away, is what the story is. Put the kids away, made sure they were safe, went into the kitchen, and every doorway out of the kitchen, she put like towels there so nothing could get out. And what she did was turn the oven on, and she stuck her head in the oven, and that's how she was later found. But she knew what she was gonna do, and being basically tired of life, but she wanted to protect her children. So that's very sad, you know, thinking I can't do this anymore, but I don't want to hurt them. So that's very sad. So anyway, first one here, Ryan Adams' Gold and Sylvia Plath. Really good song. Love that song. Very moody. Love it. Sticks out on that album. Next one is, and I don't know what other album this one's on, but I have the Beatles' Past Masters. I don't know if anybody's come up with this yet, but it's the Ballad of John and Yoko. What more do I need to say about that one, right? So this is about their Paris honeymoon and the paparazzi, I guess, and then them trying to add they were in the bed-in, I think it was called. So that's what that song's about. It was a Beatles song. It feels like a John Lennon song to me, but it was recorded by the Beatles. I don't know if it was released as a single. You Beatles guys out there are gonna know that, obviously, but it is on Past Masters right here, and it's one of their best songs I like. I think that might have fit on Let It Be, but it still feels like it was a John Lennon song, so maybe not on a Beatles album. But anyway, so the Beatles, Past Masters Volume 2, and it's the Ballad of John and Yoko. Then I have a Bob Dylan album, The Times They Are A-Changin', and the song on here that sticks out for me is right here, Only a Pawn in Their Game. And that is about, there's the back of it, that is about Edgar Mevers. I always get his name mixed up. And he was from Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi. He was a civil rights leader, activist, and he served in World War II. And it was basically a song about how the politicians and the rich whites use poor white men or people to anger them and get them mad and turn them basically, I don't want to say turn them racist, but to put thoughts in their heads. And so basically Dylan wrote the song because he didn't want the guy who shot Edgar Mevers. I keep getting his Medgar Evers. I always get his name mixed up. Dylan wanted to make sure that the person who assassinated him, his name wasn't remembered, but Medgar Evers' name was remembered. So he wrote that song, and it's a really I don't know if the lyrics are back here. I think this is just it's just a poem by Dylan in the back. It's not lyrics. So anyway, that's my next one there. That's my number 3. Number 4, we have Jack Johnson by Miles Davis. And so Jack Johnson, this is a documentary soundtrack. The original cover actually looked like this. When they reissued it, they put the original cover on the back. So Jack Johnson was the first black heavyweight champion. He seemed to, what I was reading on Jack Johnson, he was trying to bring races together in a way. He actually had restaurants and things like that where it welcomed black and white people, but people, you know, had issues with that. But so this was the documentary about him, and I know they were saying Miles related to him because of Miles's lifestyle, love of he liked attractive women, he liked fast cars, and so did Jack Johnson. And actually, I think that's how Jack Johnson died, was in a car accident. So that's my number 4, Jack Johnson by Miles Davis. Then number 5, this is so easy for me. It's the first one that came into my head because I'm a big Billy Joel fan. Billy Joel, Piano Man. Don't see it. Funky picture on the back, painting. The Ballad of Billy the Kid. Billy the Kid, obviously the 1800s outlaw. Everybody knows who Billy the Kid is. I don't really need to explain that one too much, right? And so there was a myth about about Billy the Kid, or that he actually lived. He wasn't shot by, I think, Pat Garrett, and he actually lived and became an old man. But that was never proven. So anyway, my number 5 is Billy Joel, The Ballad of Billy the Kid, off of Piano Man. Next we have Man on the Moon, REM, from Automatic for the People. And Man on the Moon, although it's not titled after somebody, it is about somebody, and it was featured in the movie, I think, was it called Man on the Moon? Where Jim Carrey played Andy Kaufman. So Man on the Moon is about Andy Kaufman, and it's some cool stuff in there. A couple little Elvis references also in there, so you could say there's a little bit of Elvis too, but that's because Andy Kaufman kind of mimicked. It wasn't a, I don't think, a flattering display for Elvis, but he also did some Elvis stuff. So, but yeah, so Man on the Moon was Andy Kaufman. Then I have number 7, David Bowie, Hunky Dory. And can't see it, but on this back side here, there's a song called Song for Bob Dylan. And that song seemed to be about, it's a tribute to Bob Dylan, and he helped people see the world through his eyes. He explained things to people through his song. You know, Blowing in the Wind, Times They Are Changing, like Pawn in Their Game, things like that made them really think about what's going on in life and things like that. And so Bowie kind of channels Dylan a little bit, I think, in the song, gives a little Dylan twang in there, and really just pays tribute to Bob Dylan through that song. So that's a song for Bob Dylan. And then I have the one I'm sure everybody's gonna pull up, because there's a lot of Beatles fans on these channels that I watch. Of course, John Lennon, Imagine. Beatles fan, you know what song I'm going to be pulling up. It's How Do You Sleep. It's not back there, but John is. And How Do You Sleep was about Paul McCartney, and John was not happy with him at the time. And it was basically, John was mad at the point after Paul had basically legally dissolved the Beatles, and John was mad, and John spoke his mind. John had no problem telling you what he thought, and that's how he's feeling at the time. And what's interesting is actually George Harrison plays lead guitar on that. I think it's a slide guitar on that song. So, you know, it's a shame, and I kind of wish they would have, if John hadn't died. You wonder if, I don't know, I don't think the Beatles needed to get back together. I think they did what they needed to do, and that's why they stay so popular, because their catalog is so amazing. It doesn't have any filler. So anyway, that's it. John Lennon, Imagine, and the song is How Do You Sleep, and that's about Paul McCartney. Then I have this one, and everybody knows this bad boy. This is Pink Floyd's, the whole album, is the concept about Syd Barrett, their first lead singer, guitar player, writer, the man behind Pink Floyd in the beginning, and the real psychedelic part of Pink Floyd. Syd Barrett, and he was a schizophrenic, and just slowly, just, some say he had a really bad acid trip that attributed to the schizophrenia getting worse, and later they had to just remove him from the band, and that's where David Gilmour came in. The song in particular on here, you can see the backside going on there, is Shine On You Crazy Diamond, and that's literally written for Syd Barrett. But I think the whole feel of the album, this could have just been called Syd Barrett, you know, tribute to Syd Barrett, but Dark Side's kind of cooler. Anyway, so that's my number 9 song, Shine On You Crazy Diamond. And last, I wanted to bring this one up last, and Mazzy had an episode on this recently, and I really liked what he was saying about it too, and I got this as soon as it came out, as soon as I heard this song. But it's Bob Dylan, Rough and Rowdy Ways. This is Dylan so back to like good writing Dylan with his gruff voice. I love it. But the whole thing here is, what does that say? Oh, Murder Most Foul is the name of the song. And it's a tough song. It's and I was listening to it again, and it starts with the Kennedy thing. I'm gonna read you a couple lines from it. The Kennedy assassination, and you know, in a Dylan storytelling type mode. And it seems like Dylan goes with the Kennedy thing, and then he kind of goes ahead a little bit, and he starts talking about like he brings up references to Tommy, The Who. He brings up, I think, Woodstock. He brings up many different things, and he kind of comes back to it. So he's kind of doing a little time traveling in there, but if you listen to it, it's mostly spoken. He does a little singing, you know how Dylan works. Very well orchestrated. They bring the music in where it needs to be highlighted, and they bring it down. It's just really well done, and it takes up one whole side of an album. I forgot how long this is. I want to say it's like 20 minutes long. But really give it a chance. And the rest of the songs on here are great too, but Murder Most Foul is like Dylan, like, boom. I mean, just Dylan at his poetic best in my mind. And I was just going to share just real quick, some of the lines in it, so it kind of gives you an idea. This is how it starts. "'Twas a dark day, November '63, a day that will live on in infamy. President Kennedy was a riding high, good day to be living and a good day to die. Being led to slaughter like a sacrificial lamb, he said, 'Wait a minute, boys, do you know who I am?' 'Of course we do. We know who you are.' Then they blew off his head while he was still in his car." And it gets more and more in there. He really gets in there and shows just how calculated it was, and how they didn't care who this guy was, and they wanted to make sure that they were going to kill this guy. So anyway, Murder Most Foul is about John F. Kennedy and his assassination. So that's what I got for you guys. Thanks for letting me join this contest, and I'll see you guys later. Take care.